Are you struggling in your faith? Are you pretending you're happy but stuck in a spiritual rut? Are you tired of listening to famous pastors and preachers who make it sound so easy? Welcome to Broken Catholic, the #1 Protestant and Catholic voice in America. I talk about the important things that nobody else is talking about, like how to align with God's plan for your life, because I believe this is where 90% of Christians get stuck. And I tackle the negative self-talk that we all secretly struggle with but won't admit. My guests are brave Protestants and Catholics who share their struggles, their fears, and their daily holy habits that help them win in their spiritual lives. I'm your host, your coach, your friend, Joseph Warren. I'm also a broken Catholic and former atheist, and a spiritual coach to Christian business owners and CEOs who are married with children. This show was created for you, the broken Catholic who's pushing to get your spouse, your kids, and yourself to heaven. Wherever you are in your spiritual journey, you're just one surrender prayer away. Today, my featured guest is Bob Rohrlack, and Bob is the president and CEO of the Tampa Bay Chamber of Commerce. So he's right here in my backyard here in Tampa, Florida. The Tampa Bay Chamber is a past Florida Chamber of the Year and is a U.S. Chamber of Commerce 5-star accredited chamber. Why is that important? Because Bob led the way. He got them there. Now, only 1.6% of the chambers of commerce in the United States have achieved this level of accreditation. That's something. That took something. He has worked to help local, regional, and state economies succeed. He's received his Doctor of Business Administration degree from the University of South Florida just this past year. So pursuing a doctorate, that's no easy effort, BC Nation, Broken Catholic Nation. So Bob has served as the chairman of the Florida Association of Chamber Professionals. He's a board member of the Association of Chamber of Commerce Executives. He's a recipient of the FACP Florida Executive of the Year. He holds the Certified Chamber Executive designation from ACCA. Now, BC Nation, I know what you're saying. Joseph, stop dropping all these acronyms on me. I have no idea what they mean. Just know, in the economic development and Chamber of Commerce space, Bob is a superstar right now. He's very, very accomplished in that. But he's going to get spiritual with us, and we're going to talk about all things God and bringing God into the marketplace. He gets to work with hundreds and thousands of local business owners and entrepreneurs and CEOs. So he's really gets to see the Christian, or bringing Christianity or their spiritual side into the marketplace. He sees the struggles. He sees the challenges. We're going to talk about that today. And our topic today is Christian people need to get more engaged in the marketplace. Christian people need to get more engaged in the marketplace. And BC Nation, maybe you're asking, well, how do I do that? I want to do that. I don't want to be split down the middle anymore. I want to bring God into the marketplace, but I don't want to do it in a way that's preachy, Joseph. That's what we're going to talk about today. So, Bob, welcome to Broken Catholic. Thank you for being on the show. Sure. And go ahead and fill in some of the gaps in that intro, would you?
Sure. Well, thank you for inviting me to be here. I appreciate it. Yeah, in April, I will mark my 11th year here at the Chamber. I've worked for this Chamber twice before, so it's kind of an odd combination to be back a third time. But the reason I wanted to talk about the idea of Christians getting more involved in the workplace is you can see in society we're segmenting ourselves in every different way, and then wondering why others don't know about us. And that's not the way I think God designed it, and that's not the way I want to live. That I've got a work life that's separate from my Christian life. I want it blended together, and I don't want to be alone in doing it. So I'm always encouraging more Christians to get involved with me at my chamber and involved in the business world.
That's such a powerful intention, and I also think it's the intention of many of us. Right? We're all in that, but none of us wants to go first. None of us wants to do it alone, as you said, right? It's scary to do it alone. It's scary to pioneer anything. I know my business, right? In Tampa, right? My previous company was co-working, and I brought co-working to Tampa Bay. I pioneered that. And that's not a pat on the back. That's saying, hey, that was scary as heck. Everybody looked at me like I had three heads. Like, what is co-working? Why don't I just go to the coffee shop? I don't get it. What are you up to? What are you trying to do?
Right.
And to be misunderstood, I think, is one of the biggest fears we have as humans. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I think I once had somebody tell me that people are down on what they're not up on. If they don't know about it, they tend to fill in their blanks, and usually they fill in those blanks wrong instead of asking and trying to get to know. And I think in a lot of ways, Christians are concerned, well, how will we be perceived? Will we get shut down? And will we be seen as hostile and the shunning and all that? Well, that's not from God. So we have to work against that.
Mm.
And usually if you do it the right way and, get to know the person first, Jesus asked questions before he would preach. It's a way to get people to be more willing to listen and at least try to strike a curiosity to where they're wanting to know more.
Mm. I think that's such a powerful insight. Jesus was intriguing.
Right.
People want to be around him. Who is this guy? I see something I want. I don't know what it is, but I want to be around him.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
BC Nation, I think Bob is really bringing up some powerful wisdom here. That is how to evangelize. Be attractive in your own life, in your own spiritual walk. When you're connected with the God of the universe and you're in alignment with his plan for your life, he's pouring through your life. People want a piece of that. People want to be around that, right? So you don't need to be preachy when you're actually living your faith. I think we get really preachy when we're actually not, when we're being hypocritical in our own life. So we kind of put up this mask or this cover. What do you think about that, Bob?
Yeah, and that is the tricky part of it, is not coming across as being judgmental or having people feel you think you're superior or anything like that. Because we all know no matter where we are in our walk, we're all sinners saved, some saved by grace, some searching for the grace. So it's understanding that and approaching it from a humble standpoint, I think, with what we do. We're a chamber. We have a lot of different events. We do a lot of out of town trips, and some people like to really enjoy when they're out of town, but people know I'm not going to go out and stay out late and do those kind of things with this. It's just not the way I want to do it. But it's just become, okay, that's the way Bob lives his life. And so the example part, just like as parents know, that people are always watching. So it's how you do what you do, not so much what you're saying and doing. That people are watching, and it matters how you carry yourself.
This is such an important conversation. Is really people are watching BC Nation, and especially non-Christians. They're watching.
Mm-hmm.
Are you for real?
Mm-hmm.
Are you living what you preach? Right? They're looking for you not to. Why?
Oh,
Because they're
absolutely.
looking for evidence that Christianity is not true. It's not real. It's a fairy tale. It's all make-believe stories carried on, right? It's as my angry atheist friend says, we believe in the purple dinosaur in the sky, right? And they're looking for that evidence,
Right.
that it's all a bunch of baloney. And when you can show up and just walk it humbly, like Bob is saying, I mean, that really changes everything. That's attractive to people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When everybody's going out, to party throughout the night and make some poor choices, and Bob, you're like saying, you know what? Hey, I'm not here to judge you guys, but I'm not going to participate in that
Right.
just because that's not my thing. That is powerful. That sometimes makes us question, well, why am I doing it? So, all right, Bob, let's get personal here for a second, because I really want to go back into your spiritual journey. How were you raised? What was the denomination? Was there faith in the home? Was there not? And then did you do what many of us do, meaning myself, and leave and say, I'm done with this whole Christian religion thing, and go just pursue all the pleasures of the light of the world and everything like that? Or did you just stay true all the way? So
Sure.
go back and paint us a picture of that story, would you?
Sure. I grew up in a home that we did go to church every Sunday, and it's what you did. You went to church, you never missed, and that's just the way it was done. There was never an exception, never a doubt of what you would do. And then I went off to college and kind of had that same it's Sunday, gotta go, gotta go, gotta go, but kept church in a box.
Mm.
It was something you did for an hour, hour and a half on Sunday. You covered it. You're done. It was like taking a vitamin, and then you were good for the next week. And if if you did things you shouldn't have done or couldn't, it may not have been acceptable during the week. Okay, you went on Sunday, and everything was good again. Just kind of kept it in a container that was up on the shelf, except for one day a week. Um, and then when I went to grad school, I got involved with some friends through Campus Crusade for Christ, and was more confused than into it. Just like, what are they talking about? What do they mean? Um, I grew up where the Bible was in the house, but it was never opened, even though we went to church. And the first time I saw somebody take notes in a Bible, I was shocked. I was kind of like, I pulled back like the lightning bolts coming down any second. That person's in trouble. That they would take notes in their Bible, and the more exposure, and then somebody finally challenged me to read the Gospels, and I was in college, just started reading the Gospels, and I remember thinking, wait a minute, I just read this in the other book. This is a repeat. What's this about? And then started to realize more about it and get into more of just reading the Bible and what it was about. Got more involved and just wanted to know more about the Bible. I like history a lot. So, okay, well, why did they do it that way? What's the history of that and what goes on with it? So it just drew me in through the scripture and learning more about God and what did that mean to my faith and wanting to know the history of why things were done that way. At the same time, my older brother had fallen away from the church, but he and I were talking. He'd gotten married much younger than I was, than I was when I got married, and he told me that he was leaving his job, and he and his wife were going off. He was going to seminary, and I looked and said, "What do you mean you're going to seminary?" And so he explained it, and I said, "Oh," and so I just started asking him questions, and he was very smart that he stayed calm as we just went through our question and answers over a long period of time. And so my faith just kept growing that way. And it was an attraction and growing. And it was, it's all that goes on. But then with going back, I had a friend in middle school who invited me to go to his youth group with him. And I remember sitting in the back of the car. He went off to go get his sister. He couldn't find her. And just praying to God to be my savior and forgive me my sins. I said, okay, I've done it. I'm good. Check in the box. And so I just kept that box thing going on. And it was really as I matured as an adult and understood, wait, if I mean what I say, and if I mean what that prayer was, then I have to live it in my life. It's not in a box on a shelf. It's got to be down all the time with who I am. And so it started working to what does that mean and applying it. Got more involved in church, kept looking for where am I going to learn more about this Bible and what it means and why it's the way it is and how does it apply to me. And going through that just grew in my faith, and it's where I am now is still growing in my faith. The Bible study I am now, it's amazing. My wife and I are in the same study. I meet with the men, she meets with the women, and we both come home and go, I didn't know this. Did you know this? I said, well, look at this. And what does this mean? So it's a never ending journey for your faith.
Mm. BC Nation, what a powerful Christian witness talk, right? And it's not that Bob's the hero in the talk, it's God's the hero. Mm-hmm. Right? And this is what God does. He draws us in. For some of us, it's quick, right? It's a 2x4 upside the back of our head, right? Because we made some real bad choices. That was me. And then for others, it's the slow attraction, the slow courting, dating process of just drawing us into that love. And such patience. Bob, I really love what you shared there, that it was, the people God put in your life, they didn't come at you. They didn't make you wrong about where you were at in your spiritual walk. They met you right there, and they just answered your questions.
Right.
And probably asked you some challenging or confronting questions as well. And maybe you didn't have those answers, but now you wanted those answers. So that pulls you in deeper as well. And I think this is such a powerful thing that we miss as Christians, especially in the workplace, that's what evangelization can actually look like. It's just doing life with people. It's being in relationship with people. The same way that Jesus was in relationship with people when he walked the earth.
Right.
He was in relationship with the sinners. He wasn't there judging them. He did call them out on poor behavior, but he didn't make them wrong about it. He invited them into forgiveness and relationship. And he ate meals with them, right? He just did life with them. And then, like you, he didn't participate in the late night partying or anything like that. He went home, right? He went and spent time with the Father in quiet. And it's like, what a powerful witness. And I think it's an easy or simple approach to living our faith. So why do you think that so many of us as Christian business owners and CEOs have such a difficult time even following this very non-confronting approach of just doing life with people and living our faith and letting them see it?
Yeah, I know for me, the struggle is I want to live my faith. I want people to know where I come from and who I count on, and whose I believe I am. But then I'm always concerned with, I know I'm going to make a mistake, and if I make that mistake and somebody sees it, are they going to get in my face about it? Is it going to be, well, I saw Bob did this or Bob said that, and to where it doesn't match up with how I want to be perceived in my faith. So sometimes I'm too hesitant or too just be quiet, be calm, stay back, because I'm afraid I'm going to mess up. And that's something I'm always dealing with on. Don't step back. You don't have to be in people's face. You don't have to be screaming on the street if somebody says something I don't agree with. I don't need to throw my Bible at them and hit them with it. But I let people know when their people are prone that just about every other word will tend to be foul language. I let them know, can we not use that? Can we not do that? I'm okay if we don't speak that way, and just try to, without them feeling they're being judged or ridiculed, just know that I'm not going to use those kind of words talking to you. I hope you won't use them talking to me. Let's go on. I want to work with you, and letting everybody know I want to work with them as long as they're being ethical and moral and honest in the dealings. If they're not, it's like, okay, well, that's fine. Maybe we won't work together. But it's not going to be from the viewpoint of I'm a Christian, therefore I'm superior, therefore I'll do this. And that's not the way to do it. I'm reading a book right now, City Changers by Alan Platt, and it's about the way, all Christians are foreigners in this land. This isn't where our end place is. But we're supposed to be involved and engaged and part of making this a better place. And by doing that, it's how we live and what we do, how I interact with people at the chamber, how I interact with members and programs that we're doing, how I try to focus our vision plan in the direction of, is it doing things that align with my faith? And I think we are. It's always a 2 forward, 1 back, 2 forward, 1 back, but it's just make it who you are and what your practice is, and people will expect that from you.
So I really take away a couple things there. 1, faith is not a solo sport. We can't do it by ourselves. 2, faith is not a spectator sport. We're not meant to stay up in the stands. We're meant to get down onto the court and play the game, take the hits, take the bruises, and be involved and really lead with our faith. And we don't have to do it in a violent way or an aggressive way. But at the same time, this leaning back posture of staying disconnected so that we don't get hit is not something that we're called to do as Christians, to your point. And yet it's the very thing we struggle with is we're walking around with Christian masks. It's just a different colored mask, but it's a Christian mask of still trying to look good or trying to avoid looking bad to others or being called out in our own sinfulness, our own brokenness. This is why the show is called Broken Catholic. I'm a
Right.
broken Catholic and former atheist. I don't have this all figured out. This is
Mhm.
the show where we come on and we get real about it. Hey, this
Right.
is what I'm struggling with. Oh, you're
Right.
struggling with it too? What have you learned? Here's what I've learned. And we really kind of help each other along the way with God at the center, saying, hey, we're sinners. This is why we need a savior. The very thing that causes most of the suffering and problems in our life and the broken relationships and all this hurt is this one thing called self-reliance. We're
Right.
relying on self instead of on God, the one who can heal us. So I just take so much away from that. And BC Nation, I'm hoping you're taking some real value from Bob right here, and just him being real and honest and raw about his own journey, his own struggles, and maybe you're struggling with that as well, just like I am. So Bob, I'm asked to shift the conversation just a little bit here, and I want to get real practical and tactical.
Okay.
What are your top 3 tips and strategies for my listener right now to really bring they're a Christian business owner, they're a Christian CEO. How do they engage in the marketplace with that struggle going on that you and I have? What are your top 3 tips and strategies that they can do this week or in 2020 to really engage their faith into the workplace, into their business? What do you
Hmm.
got?
Okay. That's a big question. Uh, well, first, obviously, pray and ask God that question. Where does He want you to plug and to play and to act? And my wife and I are always praying for the wisdom to know His will and to act on His will when He presents it, because God whispers, we need to listen, and knowing to do that. Second, recognize God's footprints in your past and everything He's done to get you to where you are now, and be asking Him, well, so from here where? But be willing to share the past of how He's impacted and touched your life with others. Use that as in your testimony. Um, uh, there's a story of how I got to this job this time that has been a witnessing opportunity at many talks I've given around town, that it just tees up to, this is where I come from and where I'm making my decisions. So use that when the opportunity is there, not forcing it on people, because you don't want people recoiling. You want them to be listening and then realizing, wow, really, this person, they count on their faith for this. That's interesting they did that. And they just get them thinking about it. Uh, uh, so those opportunities, knowing when to plug in, but always asking God first, what do you want me to do? How do you want me to do it? Give me the opportunities, give me the wisdom, and then the courage to act on it. And always knowing what happens today isn't the end journey. So don't worry about having to win, or, oh, if I don't say this, then I failed. Like, no, re- relax, trust God, and act when He tells you to act.
Mm. Those are good. I'm going to summarize them just how I heard them. Okay. So, BC Nation, Bob Rohrlack, we're speaking with. He's the president, CEO of Tampa Bay Chamber. You can find him at tampabaychamber.com. That's tampabaychamber.com. He just shared with us his top 3 spiritual tips or strategies that you can implement into your business right now to really engage God into your workplace, to engage God into your business, and not in a salesy way or a preachy way, but in a very authentic and genuine way that's attractive, that's going to make people ask you more about what is that foundation that you're operating on. What is that thing that keeps you so calm when everybody else around you is just so all over the place. So Bob's top 3 tips and strategies for you, in my own words, is number 1, ask God to show you his will for your business.
Mhm.
Like, what does he want you to do next? And it could be simply Father, you saying, Father, what's the next move?
Mhm.
Right? What's the next move in my business? What do you want me to do today? What do you want me to do tomorrow? What do you want me to do this week? Right? What does that look like? And then just sit there and stop talking and listen with a pen and paper and write down whatever you hear, sense, feel, experience, or see. And as Bob said, God speaks to us in the whisper.
Right.
So you got to get quiet. You got to be still. What do you want to add to that, Bob?
Well, so can I tell you the story of how I got to the job I'm in now? Because it is an example of what we're talking about
Well, how
right
could
now.
we not allow you to do this? Go for it, brother.
Well, my previous job, I've been in for about 10 years. I was living in Orlando. I was very happy in that job. Things were good. The economy was starting to go really bad, 2008, 2009 period, where everything, where the Great Recession was coming over us in a tidal wave. But my wife and I always wanted to come back to Tampa. We really like Tampa, Florida. So we wanted to do it. I thought the economy's bad. I don't know. I like the job I'm in. I want that job though. So I went to our pastor at our church and he said, you need to do what I did. I said, what did you do? He came from Louisiana and he said he came over without the church knowing it. And he prayer walked the campus, just asking God, what should I do? What should I do? And he did that. And he goes, you need to go do that in Tampa. I said, okay. So I drove over on a Saturday and I just walked around downtown Tampa. I prayed over the chamber office. I prayed over City Hall. I prayed over the county courthouse and administration building. And I just kept saying, God, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do for hours? It was a beautiful day. And finally, for those who aren't familiar, downtown Tampa is right at the mouth where the Hillsborough River meets the bay. Beautiful area. So I was on the bridge over the river, and all of a sudden I realized my question had gone from, God, what do you want me to do, to God, I can't do this without you, right? And then I realized, okay, the whisper has happened. This is where I need to be and what I need to do. So the rest of the day, I just prayed for confirmation. Had an hour and a half drive back to Orlando, and just kept praying for confirmation. Walked in the house. My son, one of my three boys, who's in high school, just turned all excited, looked at me and said, "What did God tell you?" And which was great. And it's like, yeah, this needs to happen. So it just, that confirmation that I just felt this is what I'm supposed to do. The skies didn't part, the angels didn't sing, there wasn't a hallelujah chorus, but it was just that this is what I need to do. And it was hard. The first 5 years, I commuted daily from Orlando because we had kids in high school. But God protected through all that. And now we're here. We like what we're doing. Accomplishments are happening. We're growing with people in our faith and helping to just bring God's love to other people. As I mentioned, doing the mission trips with our church to Israel, helping to share God's love with people who are not Christian, a very isolated, poor Muslim community over there. So it's been a blessing. It's growing and stretching. Sometimes the stretching hurts, but that process of just, God, what do you want me to do, and being able to listen and hear Him was just fantastic. And that story being told over and over with groups I'm in front of has just been a great opportunity.
Thank you for sharing that, Bob. And I get why you share that. And God is the hero again in
Right,
that
absolutely.
story. So BC Nation, just tying this all back into Bob's top 3 tips and strategies for you in your life, in your business. 1, ask God to show you His will. That looks like saying, God or Father, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? And then Bob got very tactical about it. He got in the car, drove an hour and a half to the place that the situation that he was considering or wrestling with that decision. And he went hands on and prayed over it and walked it. Right. And so he went and sought God. Right. That's very important. He took an action. He didn't just sit there in his living room in Orlando and say, okay, God, what do you want me to do about Tampa over there? He drove to Tampa, met God in Tampa, like a business meeting, and said, hey, God, is this it? Is this what you want? And right there, God met him back. And then Bob says, number 2, share your witness talk with others. Make sure God's the hero in your witness talk, right, not you. Surrender your ego, BC Nation. Give God the glory and the praise, but share your witness talk powerfully. There's power in that. God will do everything. And then number 3, don't worry about the outcomes or results of you sharing that witness talk, or the outcomes and results of those conversations that you're going to mention God in, or God's going to come up in. Just lean in, have the conversation, and trust God's got the results. Right. Like, that is so powerful. Bob, I really get that. This is also very similar to what I've done, this approach. You've articulated it exceptionally. It's very practical. It's very tactical. So BC Nation, do those 3 things in your business this year in 2020 and really bring God in to your business, into the marketplace. This is how you do it. All right, so we're speaking with Bob Rohrlack. You can find him at tampabaychamber.com, tampabaychamber.com. He is the president and CEO there. And this guy's a powerhouse. He's a badass in his faith, right? He's walking it and he's doing it humbly, but he's doing it proudly because he serves a powerful, powerful God. So, Bob, we're going to get into my favorite part of the show and wrap this up. Welcome to the confession round.
Oh, okay.
Okay. This is where I'm going to ask you 10 quick fire questions. You'll have about 3 seconds to answer each. It's just for fun.
Okay.
Don't overthink it. Are you ready, sir?
I don't know. Let's see how it goes.
All right. Let's see what God does with it. Bob, what's your favorite thing about God?
It's unbelievable grace and forgiveness.
What's your least favorite thing about God?
Ooh, wow. I never thought.
It's a very human question.
Yeah. I never thought of it that way. Least favorite thing. Least favorite thing. I never thought about God and what don't I like about God.
Or maybe the way he does things
Yeah,
different than the way we think it should go. What do you got, man?
I would like to have the full manual explaining this is what it is. This is why. This is what's going on. You know, people joke about, well, that's a question to ask God when you get to heaven. Really? Am I really going to go, okay, wait a minute. I got some questions. Come here. No, that's not the way it's going to be. But in the human nature, it's like, I would love to have the whole complete playbook and know what's going on. But then if I had that, faith wouldn't be a part of the effort. And so that would be bad. So I'm glad that he doesn't listen to me that way.
That's so powerful. And I think we all wrestle with that question. Why doesn't God just lay out the whole plan and strategy? The answer, BC Nation, Bob's right. Because your self-reliance would kick in. Your ego would kick in. And you'd be like, great, I got it. I don't need you. Thanks so much. Yeah. But, you know, I'll have you on call when I need a little help or a little blessing here and there. Right. And that God wants the dependence on him as father. We're children. We got to rely on him like a dad. All right. What are you most afraid of?
Failing in a public sense that's in conflict with my faith and doing that 1 degree for someone to go, well, I don't need his faith. Look, he's not doing it, so I don't need it. Being that role. And that scares me a lot.
I get that, right? So being called out, same thing as a dad, right? Being called out as an imposter or a hypocrite in your faith in a public setting.
Right.
Yeah. That's very stress producing.
Yeah.
I would say. And let me ask you this, just get a little more real and raw. We all struggle with something. I truly believe that at any time we're struggling with something. What are you struggling with right now personally?
We talked about, I finished school and got the doctorate and I want to use that. So how to use that. I struggle with the point I've been in my job 11 years. I know what we're doing. We've got our 10-year vision plan in play here, things going on. I struggle with give me all the authority and control because I know what we're doing. All your volunteers I count on to pay the bills, just stay in the bleachers. And that's an arrogance. That's a big arrogance that I got to keep in check. That no, it's not all up to me. I don't have all the answers. It's not the Bob Chamber of Commerce. And you know, keep pulling that back and keep that from being lead. So truly an arrogance of life's working right.
Thank you for going there. I think that touched all of us, right? We all struggle with that massive ego that says, hey, I could do better than everyone else. Just give me the leadership, right? And then you all just obey my orders. Like, you all wrestle with it. What did you spend way too much time doing in your 20s?
In my 20s, probably watching TV.
Yeah.
You know, just if it was sports or, you know, some kind of show that was on, just too much time watching TV and worrying too much about what would be there, whether the news shows, you know, in my 20s, that's when the cable news shows were really growing and being big, of that being what made the world true and right. It's like, no, that's not it. When I should have spent more time with other Christians and growing faith and being out there and then working with those people to get more people who didn't have the faith involved. I should have been more engaged with my faith.
Got it. What secret fear do you have about people?
People. That people will see if, again, when I'm not living my faith, they think it's a fraud and a sham and trying to be a superior instead of no. I'm just a sinner saved by grace, and that's what I need for you to understand.
So good. What do you wish you had learned sooner about God?
I wish I had figured out that don't keep them in a box. Make it part of everything, particularly in those high school and college age and 20 years where you kind of think you're indestructible, and things can happen. It just this needs to be who I am all the time, not just once a day, once a week kind of a thing. More 7 days.
BC Nation, stop making God a weekly vitamin that you take.
Yeah, you can't put them in a box.
You can't put them in a box. What's a new habit you want to form, Bob?
Reading my Bible more diligently on a regular daily basis and memorizing scripture.
Got it.
I want to get to that so I can use it, not to preach it at people, but to use it in talking to people.
Well, once you do that, then start training some of us Catholics on how to do that memorization thing as well. All right, buddy.
All right.
Pick. What's a bad habit you want to break? Actually.
Hitting the snooze button too many times.
Oh my gosh, that gets me all the time. My beautiful bride, she's like, please just reset the alarm. Stop hitting snooze.
Yeah.
All right. Pick 3 words to describe who you are now.
Who I am now. Searching in a positive way, growing with God. I want to be teacher, but also be student.
So what I heard is seeker, teacher, student.
Right.
Pick 3 words to describe who you were before you experienced God in your heart.
Confused, naive, and lost.
Confused, naive, and lost. I think we can all relate to that, BC Nation. And last question, Bob, if you could come back to life after you died, look your family, your friends in the eye, give them only one piece of advice about life, what would you say to them?
One piece of advice. Grow your faith. Talk to God more. Because our faith does grow by how we communicate with him and talk to him. And I feel it. When my prayer life is working well, I feel closer to him. When I let it slack, he doesn't, I do. I'm less focused, organized, and productive.
So good. Any final wisdom? What's the one thing you want my listener to know about having a relationship with God versus not?
God created us all different, and the way he talks to each of us is all different, and that's okay. So if your faith is growing in a way that works for you, don't worry if it's not how it works for others, but make sure you're all coming back to the core principle and base of what does his word say? What does the Bible say? That's your foundation. That's your cornerstone, nothing else. And use that for how you grow your faith.
And what's the best way for BC Nation to get in touch with you if they so choose?
The best way, as you've mentioned, tampachamber.com. Emails are up there. Also, I don't know how to communicate other things, but email is probably the best way because my schedule's not the same from day to day, so it's hard to pin me down for what's going on. But through the chamber is the easiest way.
All right, so that's tampabaychamber.com, tampabaychamber.com. Bob, thank you for being on Broken Catholic. You're an amazing Christian witness and just a great guy. And I'm very honored to call you friend, brother.
Well,
let's hang out more together.
I think that'd be great.
Yeah, and I wish you God's love, peace, and joy in your life, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. God bless. BC Nation, you cannot show up authentically in your life without building faith in your business. If you want the business side of that conversation, I have another podcast called First 100K, where I interview successful entrepreneurs about how they made their first $100,000, because that's where I believe 90% of you are stuck and you can't break through. Go to first100k.com to find out how. I'm Joseph Warren. You were made for greatness, so stop being a wuss and start being a winner. Have a blessed day, and I'll see you right back here next week.